This time on Lifelinks. Sending our reporters to travel around the world doesn't exactly help the problem we're talking about this week. The problem of climate change, one of the biggest challenges humanity faces. Gunnar flies to Kiribati, a group of islands which could soon become a 21st century version of Atlantis. In the Arctic Circle, David learns why the whole Sami culture might be on the line. It's the people at the margins of the Earth who see climate change happening. For them, it's no abstract thing, but a very concrete threat right now. Use our hashtag to join the conversation.
This could be the first country to disappear into the sea. Welcome to Kiribati, the South Pacific nation made up of 33 small islands. No one knows how long people can live here if the global sea level continues to rise. Sinai lives on Tarawa, the main atoll. She shows me that high tides and storms are already wreaking havoc.
It comes up to here?
Yeah, like it's being eroded. And it's really fast, eh? And that's why we're always afraid of it, like having this high tides.
They work to stop the rising water with sand and cement. That works quite well, as long as the weather stays calm, though it didn't earlier this year.
The first thing came is the king tide, and a few weeks later, then the cyclone bam. We don't have these experiences before, but nowadays we're starting to experience this, and we see this with our own eyes, thinking that climate change, yeah, is real, is happening here in Kiribati.
The islands of Kiribati are so small they don't even show up on many world maps. The highest point on South Tarawa is just 10 feet above sea level. With flooding, salty seawater flows into the groundwater. For washing, the contaminated water is still good, but for drinking, the water can make people sick. Many people drink it anyway because they have no other choice. 2 months ago, Sinai helped to set up rainwater tanks in this village. The tanks will gradually be built everywhere.
It's a big thing.
Previously, the children developed skin rashes from the well water. Now they feel better as long as it rains enough to fill the tanks.
I'm just thirsty.
So it's safe to drink, right?
This one is much better.
Many people in Kiribati are poor and unemployed. Climate change makes things worse because so many residents are dependent on locally grown fruit or coconuts. Breadfruit is a staple, but the trees die because there's too much salt in the soil and water.
The first thing, that's one of them.
Yeah.
The trees that died from this seawater. From the land and the people and the sea, like, you know, our relationship is really that strong. So we take from this, you know, our life depends on this and that water. So if this destroyed, we're gonna be destroyed as well.
The sea is never more than a few steps or a jump away. Of course, Sinai loves the ocean, and yet at the same time, it threatens her future.
The rise in sea level is quicker than before. So imagine if it's like every year. I feel scared about this. I just make the most of it, like enjoy myself here without thinking of the bad things in the future or what.
Experts believe that by the year 2100, the sea level could rise by up to 1 or even 2 meters. Such high water levels wouldn't only threaten Kiribati. The major reason for the rise in water levels is the thawing of ice caps and glaciers as the planet warms. Gases like carbon dioxide and methane form a layer around the Earth. That's trapping the heat in the atmosphere and turning the planet into a greenhouse. The burning of fossil fuels like coal and oil contribute massively to this greenhouse effect. The amount of greenhouse gases is rising, and so too is the Earth's temperature.
Thing is, we're all to blame. One major source of greenhouse gases is transport. Even in Berlin, where there's not so much smog, but plenty of smug people taking public transport or riding bikes like me. Basically everything we do contributes to climate change. That large latte you pick up on the way to work, 340 grams of greenhouse gases, and that's without the to-go cup. Even our research for this show, producing the electricity for a 30-second web search results in about a gram of greenhouse gases. Now think about all the hours we spend online. The average person here in Germany produces about 25 kilos of CO2 a day. That's 9 tons in a year. Just spend an hour on your phone each day, and in a year, you're producing over a ton of greenhouse gases. Here are the 10 countries that emit the most carbon dioxide. One reason people aren't doing more about climate change is that for most of us it still seems kind of abstract. But the ways we're contributing to it every day are very concrete. And my trip to northern Scandinavia is about to blast another 300 kilos of CO2 into the atmosphere. People here are already seeing the effects of climate change. It could even mean the end of a culture. Lars Miguel is a member of the Sami people. They've been living here in the Arctic climes of northern Scandinavia for thousands of years, in tune with the seasons. Except now the seasons are all out of whack.
Normally we would have snow by this time. It's a late winter this year. And that's something we've seen more of.
Extreme climates like the Arctic are particularly vulnerable to climate change. And the fickle weather is a big problem for these guys. Lars Miguel and his ancestors have been depending on reindeer for food since before history began. Now their way of life is under threat. We're here to help out Lars Miguel's buddy Johan. The reindeer are still basically wild, and they live out in the wild. But a few times a year the herders chase them into corrals to keep track of them. Johan's here to look for any reindeer that are his, to take them back to grazing lands closer to his home.
They're going to castrate.
Don't worry, this part's almost over. Transporting the reindeer means cutting off the male's antlers so they don't fight in the trailers. Actually, reindeer aren't just food for the Sami, they're a central part of the culture.
Having reindeer around when I grew up was a big part of giving me a strong Sami upbringing and a strong Sami identity.
Is this maybe when you feel the most Sami?
Yeah, you're really a Sami. You feel that you're really, really deep in the Sami culture when you're working with in the corral. A lot of key parts in Sami culture comes and relies on reindeer herding. If you take people away from reindeer herding, they would lose an important part of their culture.
A little bit. How do you know that it's yours?
You know, every reindeer owner has his own brand.
Okay, yeah, it's like a little half moon cut in there.
Yeah, and if you see on the downside, you can see the same type of...
Okay, a little half moon there, and then a triangle in here.
Most of the marks are, by tradition, going by families.
It's like the mark is something very personal, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like a name. Push.
You need a lift. You need a lift.
time ago?
Last ice age. This last 5-7 years, the snow that has come, it will melt, and then it will be water on the ground, and then it will freeze up again. It's like when the reindeer digs down to the snow, it's like he can see the candy, but he cannot get it because it's ice between the food and him.
Time to get some candy. No ice in the way for now. By the way, that thing with the ice isn't new. It's happened in the past, too. But then it was a rare freak occurrence. Now, extreme weather is the norm.
Whoa, it's really soft.
Yeah. This is what the reindeer eats. Lichen. It's a combination of algae and fungi.
You like it too, don't you?
And you can actually taste it if you want to.
Really?
Yeah.
It's alright, I've had salads that don't taste this good.
So this is what the reindeer digs for in the snow. This is also...
Can we eat this?
Yeah, we can taste this
really?
too. Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
It's like...
I don't want this to become a popular dish though, because we need it for the reindeer.
It probably has, it's like hair.
Yeah.
With more and more ice in winter, the reindeer are losing huge chunks of their grazing lands.
I mean, if they can't get to the lichens, what's the problem with just feeding them hay like any other animal?
Well, the concept is, well, the thing with reindeer is that this is their natural food, and feeding them hay year-round is not normal for them. And reindeer in a corral it's not made for that. They make a living for us in nature.
But to do that, they have to be able to get to this stuff, basically.
Yeah, that's key for their survival. Yeah.
Mm. And you're going to be a reindeer herder, yeah? This kid.
People here call themselves Ai Kiribati. They have lived in harmony with nature for thousands of years. The temperature at night barely changes from the day, so most people sleep in traditional open huts. Sinai studied abroad in Fiji, a 3-hour flight away, but she wanted to come back to fight for the future of her home. Directly behind Sinai's garden, you can see one of the biggest problems of Kiribati. There's trash on the beach as far as the eye can see. Some was thrown there by residents and some washed up. It looks and smells disgusting.
Most of this rubbish is not from the environment, it's from the shop, or everything is from the Western countries, right? All the clothes, the plastic bags, from heating noodles, from heating rice, flour, you know, heating these processed food, tin foods. That's a pity, and that's so, like, it's very sad.
Because of climate change, they are limited on what they can grow themselves. So the Ai Kiribati have to import ever more. They haven't found the right solutions for all the waste yet. And where are they supposed to put everything? The main island is densely populated with around 50,000 residents, making up about half of the country's total. Many move here from other islands in hope of finding jobs and education for their children. And those that find a job often buy a car.
Whoa, we're stuck in traffic. This is like being in a big city, not on a small island.
Yeah. Small, but complicated. And they keep on buying their car.
So do you think maybe even here people don't care enough about climate change?
They don't care enough because they don't know. They don't know what climate change is.
Just like in other parts of the world, importing Western lifestyle can make everything worse. This bar also mixes Western and Pacific cultures. Here, a drink made from a plant called kava is more popular than alcohol and just as exhilarating. We're at the bar with Sinai's friends. Many are activists who often talk about climate change.
My arm will fall off.
Some of her friends are members of KCCN, which is the boy band of the island.
So pick up your phone and answer.
Most of the people now, they are getting afraid and they want to flee from the country. And I could see, and I feel that it's going to be like lost, right? This kind of togetherness, this culture, singing, dancing, it must be like lost.
The Sami people are divided across 4 countries: Sweden, Norway, Russia, and Finland, where we've come to a school that trains reindeer herders.
Right. So, ooh! Yeah, okay, you picked the tight one. Well, it suits. Okay, yeah, just barely. All right.
Lars Miguel works for an organization that fights for Sami rights. He's actually here chaperoning a group of teenagers, translating for them into Swedish since they don't speak Sami. Climate change isn't the only threat to their culture. The Sami language has been lost in many places. Adapting to the modern world also means the Sami have given up their nomadic ways, and that industrial slaughter and butchering are now part of the reindeer business.
Just now done with it.
But industrial farming is out of the question, at least for now.
That's really what would hurt me most, to have to put the reindeer into corrals all the time. We want to have them out in the woods. And of course, I mean, that's kind of an emotional part, but that's also economically, it's really expensive to have reindeer in corrals and feeding them every day for a full winter. People eat reindeer meat because it has this game taste. It has this, you can feel that they have been eating out in the nature.
Can I tell you a little secret? I'm vegetarian.
Time to head back to Sweden. No one's really sure exactly how many Sami there are. Estimates range from the tens of thousands to the low 100,000s.
One thing that every indigenous people has in its core is the closeness to nature and the care for nature, and that's definitely true for the Sami. We can see some, changes, results of climate change in history here. These lands have been bare hills, then you got these birch trees, and every now and then we see dark pine trees. They are coming now slowly.
You know, in a way I feel kind of weird. We're talking about climate change, and here we are driving a minivan.
Well, we couldn't ski these distances. We have to use machines, we have to use snowmobiles, we have to use motorcycles in reindeer herding nowadays. The problem is that we have developments, industrial developments, we have roads, we have cities built in the middle of grazing lands in Sweden, Norway, and Finland, and Russia. So it's not that easy to do reindeer herding as you did 100 years ago, because you have a lot of other things in the way.
So that means that even if you said climate change is a threat to us and our way of life and to reindeer herding, you still have to drive vehicles that potentially contribute to climate change.
Yeah, that's well, it's a paradox in a way.
Reindeer herding is one of the few activities keeping Sami identity intact. If the reindeer starve, it'll be a huge blow to the Sami. So what does it mean if even Lars Miguel is still driving cars? Basically, like everyone else, the Sami want a high quality of life. That also means enjoying products from around the world. We're back in Sweden, where every year the average person drinks more than 1,200 cups of coffee. Importing the coffee pumps tons of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Lars Miguel's friend Janni is part of the Sami delegation going to the next big climate conference.
Oh, you're almost out of milk.
Yeah, this is the first one.
Like him, she comes from a long line of reindeer herders.
I was brought up to always thinking that the reindeer comes first, and the reindeer must have a good life, and when the reindeer has a good life, we will have a good life. But when the land is changing, our livelihoods will be changing, and from there our language will be changing, and our traditions will be changing, and our identities. And that's us as humans.
Do you think there is reason to hope?
Of course, there's always reasons to hope. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing this. Because I think that humanity has, like, when we need to do something big, hey, we've been to the moon, then we can do it. You're kind of into this filming now.
I've been doing this now for 3-4 years.
Not everyone here in Kiribati is convinced their country can still be saved. The government even has a program called Migration with Dignity. Part of the program involves preparing young people who lack the skills for the global labour market. And Kiribati's president spent more than €6 million for a parcel of land in Fiji that could house his people, just in case. It's a lot of money for the tiny nation.
So buying this land in Fiji and preparing migration with dignity, as you call it, isn't that somehow admitting defeat?
No, as a leader, it's my responsibility to provide all the options that I can come up with.
Some people have criticized the fact that you spent millions on that land in Fiji and that it would have been better spent here. What would you say to that?
I simply say they don't know what they're talking about because they're talking from a distance. We need them to come here. We are spending millions just putting sea defenses to protect the road. You can see that. That's millions of dollars already. And it won't protect the population in the future. And so we're talking about a huge amount of resources in order to deal with this. We, the countries affected, know because we are dealing with it. We're not dealing with it from a distance. It's not an academic, it's not a theoretical exercise, it's a practical way of trying to survive.
Millions flow to Kiribati in the form of development aid from abroad, largely from the countries that cause climate change. Sinai wants to do more to stop climate change, so she works with Climate Action Network to educate others. But everyone here knows that things will only really change if the big countries emit radically less CO2. At numerous climate change conferences, Pelanisa Alufa argued exactly for that.
What do you expect from the climate conference in Paris now?
I'm not optimistic.
Why not?
Because I couldn't see any developed country taking a real big stand right now, on climate change to say, hey, yes, we'll do this. And I'm looking at America, the US and European countries. If they take a stand, everyone will follow. But they're not taking a stand.
And why is that, in your opinion?
They are not ready to do it. They do not want to change their lifestyle. These big countries are all into oil, I think their hands are tied, and they want to be tied. They're not prepared to leave it and move into renewable energies and move to something else. They're not prepared to do that. Because as long as they control the oil, they can control maybe the whole world.
Sweden is trying to do its part to stop climate change. Actually, the country is looking to expand renewable energy. The Prime Minister even says he wants Sweden to become the first country free of fossil fuels.
Cheers.
Pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
Well, Lars Miguel isn't so sure. Decades ago, Sami fishing waters and lands were ruined by this hydroelectric dam.
If they started to build a new dam, I would be standing on the fences and protesting.
Even if it could be part of the solution to climate change?
Yeah, I think it would be better to build power plants closer to the cities, to the industries, instead of building it here. It's an easy solution for the people in the cities and to build the power plants out of their view, out of their backyard. and putting it on our backyard instead.
Temperatures in the Arctic are rising 2 times faster than in the rest of the world. But Sami activists are also worried about what could happen when governments try to tackle climate change.
Can I take one of your Sami knives?
Yeah, take it.
Whoa.
By now I've helped wrestle reindeer, seen them butchered, and heard what they taste like. But this next part will definitely be the hardest.
So the fries are pretty quick, man. You could eat it just like it is, but cream is good.
Oh, wait, so the jam goes with the meat or with the potato?
Well, when you have a bite, you'll have some potatoes, some meat, and some jam.
All right, okay.
It's the first time for you eating meat, like in 20 years or something?
Yeah, let me think about this. It's been... So I haven't eaten meat since I was 5. I'm 29, so it's 24 years. Okay. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I guess we've been eating reindeer meat forever. I mean, it was hunted before it was being herded, and the people have been eating game in this region, I guess, since the ice age, since the ice melted away.
For a while, Lars Miguel lived in Norway, then Russia. He even thought about moving to New York. Instead, he came back here. Because in the end, what's more important to him is keeping the Sami culture alive and giving his kids a strong Sami upbringing.
If reindeer herding was suffering and reindeer herding doesn't exist anymore, well, that's not up to me. Me personally, I cannot affect that. So that's, of course, that would be hurtful to see or to say to my future children that I'm sorry, you can't do this. It's something that we did before, but it's not. We don't have that anymore, and that would be a huge loss for them.
Pretty good, actually. So
yeah.
To be honest, I don't know what the future has in store for the Sami. The reindeer will survive this winter and the next winters. And I think Lars Miguel's kids will get to work with them, but I'm really not so sure about his grandkids. The truth is, it's kind of up to all of us.
We might be able to slow global warming, but experts are clear. No matter what we do from this point on, a certain amount of sea level rise is already locked in for our future. Sinai knows this. Nevertheless, she's working to plant mangrove trees that have the ability to grow in very salty soil. Fully grown, these mangroves protect against coastal erosion and storm tides.
God is giving us this beautiful land, so it's our responsibility to look after it very carefully. Even the coastal erosion is happening, climate change is happening for real in Kiribati, but still we're fighting, right? If you look down here, wow.
Maybe it's a fight that can no longer be won, but it's better to do something than just stand idly by and watch. Sinai will take it one step further and attend the UN Climate Conference as a youth ambassador, where she will give a talk about how Kiribati is suffering from climate change. What's the probability that these children will grow old here, on their island? This could be the last generation of Kiribati here, or the first generation of climate refugees.
I don't want to move, no matter what. how big is climate change is, how scary it is to my life, but I won't leave, you know. I won't leave, and you know, because I just love my country, and I always proud of being a Kiribati, and I don't like leaving and moving away from here, from this place.
If they came here and if they saw what it's like, you think that would change something?
Yes, I think it would change everything. Because you know, in their places, they live what they want and they do what they want, but they don't think about us because they haven't been here. They've never seen it, they've never heard about here, and they've never experienced such a beautiful life in here.
Tomorrow, I'm not sure. You don't have to go to Kiribati to know that our way of life harms the planet. Today, it's more important than ever, not just to know what to do, but to actually do it.
Climate change is going strong. The rising wave again is on, and I cry, oh yeah, I cry to my Lord to help me through. Climate change is going strong. The rising wave again is on, and I cry, oh yeah, I cry to my Lord to help me through.
One more time. The song was amazing.